Hi everyone, I'm Yarmouth Town Manager Scoot LaFlamme.
And I'm Yarmouth Town Councilor Karin Orenstein.
And welcome back to the Royal River. It's our second of a series of informational videos on our work with the Army Corps of Engineers related to the ongoing Section 206 study of the Royal River.
So throughout this process, we've gotten a lot of questions about the Section 206 study. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the study itself, where we are in it. But I wanted to start by pointing to where we are in the river. We're over by the Bridge Street Dam. And what we're looking at is an impoundment. An impoundment is water that gets backed up because of the dam and really just sits still like a pond. There's actually a little bit of a current today going upstream because of the wind. That's how much this water doesn't move. And the impoundment above the Elm Street Dam goes on for 6 miles. It makes this long skinny pond all the way up to Baston Park. So one of the reasons that we're even looking at a river restoration project is that we don't have a healthy river ecosystem because of these impoundments.
It also probably hurts the fish passage upstream,
Yes,
doesn't it?
we're not getting the historical fish passage that we used to get. 200 years ago, this river was full of fish, and it was able to get up the river without those barriers that are in place now.
Now we happen to be stationed right next to one of the 2 fish ladders that we have in town.
Yeah.
And I know that was one of the options that were sort of identified or looked at by the Army Corps. And I think, based on what I understand, and maybe you can talk to me more about it, they're largely ineffective.
Right, so the fish ladders we have right now, they were installed in the 1970s, and they're basically not very functional right now. There are some fish that are able to get up, but not the masses of fish that used to be able to get upriver. And that's what we're trying to get back to. So the Army Corps has been looking at different options for the Bridge Street Dam and for the Elm Street Dam. And so at each location, they're saying, what happens if we remove the dam? What happens if we remove or replace the dam or the fishway? And what happens if we do nothing? And they looked at those alternatives at both locations, and they also looked at what to do at Middle Falls, where Factory Island is, because they didn't think that the fish would be able to get up the channel there. And so they came up with a solution for that as well.
And this is part of that feasibility study that we talked about in a previous video of really kind of taking a look at all of the different options that we have available to us as a community to help restore a healthy ecosystem within the Royal River.
Right, so they're looking at a cost-benefit analysis. What gives you the most bang for your buck that you could spend to restore an ecosystem? So they plotted across a map of how much does it cost and how much would it restore the water, thinking about how many fish could get by. And they came up with the following solution, which they're calling their tentatively selected plan.
And that's the TSP that you've heard of. People have heard
people
about.
talk about the TSP. This is the tentative recommendation of the Army Corps that they still haven't presented to the town in written form, but they have told us about, and we can share it with the community, and that's already been shared, and the Army Corps even presented to the town council about it. So the Army Corps' tentatively selected plan, their proposed recommendation right now, is that at Bridge Street, they would remove the dam and remove the fishway. At Middle Falls by Factory Island, they would improve the channel around the back of Factory Island so the fish could get up that way. And then at Elm Street, they would partially remove the dam and they would remove the fishway.
The portion of the dam that would be removed is closest to Royal River Park.
Right, they would leave the rest of it in place, but remove that part and the water would go right down.
And this is the tentatively selected plan, is the TSP that you might have heard about. And if you go onto the Town of Yarmouth website, under the government headings, you'll be able to find, there's a dedicated webpage to this 206 study. There you'll be able to see the full slide deck from the Army Corps on their tentatively selected plan, and it'll go through sort of the rationale and why they decided to choose this option.
And if you want a one-page quick and dirty version, there's also a fact sheet about the TSP there.
So the TSP, or the tentatively selected plan, is a pretty big milestone in this feasibility study. Feels like things are changing. What's next for us?
So we still haven't gotten a written report explaining how they got to the TSP. We do have the slide deck, but there's so much more information that we need from the Army Corps in order to make a decision as a community. And as people involved with the town manager and a member of the town council, we're not in position to make any kind of decisions for the town until we've seen that report and we've heard what people have to say about it. We need community feedback.
When should we expect the draft report to be delivered to the town so that folks have something to read and react to?
We're anticipating receiving the report by the end of the summer, maybe September, and there will be public meetings. We're going to have information sessions, we're going to have Q&A, We want people to be involved in the process, and we want to make sure that they understand what's going on.
So one of the things that we've heard a bit from the community, and I think there's a little bit of maybe more information we can share on, is this 30-day comment period. The Army Corps has their own process, but can you go a little bit more? Do folks only have 30 days to share their comments? Does the town council need to make a decision after 30 days? What does that timeline look like?
So the 30 days is part of a statute called NEPA, and it's the Army Corps' responsibility under the statute to allow for public comment over a 30-day period once they issue the written report. And they have to take into account the comments that they get when they finalize the report. Your next question is, when will that report be final?
Right, you read my mind.
Yes, so right now the estimate from the Army Corps is that they'll finish it in the spring of 2025. So we've got plenty of time to get a final report from the Army Corps, and we really want the community to give input that the Army Corps will take into account in finalizing their recommendation.
So at that end of the 30 days, does the town council need to make a decision then?
So the 30 days is about the Army Corps' process. It's not about the town's process. We have to do our own process to figure out what we as a community want to do. But at some point in the Army Corps' process, they are going to ask the town, do you agree with our tentatively selected plan, or do you prefer what they call a locally preferred plan? So for example, the town might say, we don't want to have a partial removal of the East Elm Street Dam, we want a full removal of the East Elm Street Dam, and that could be a locally preferred plan. And then the Army Corps would have to include that plan in their final report. They'd have to go through what would it cost, what would the benefits be, you know, and analyze it, same as they're doing with the tentatively selected plan that they came up with.
Thanks again for listening in. For more information on this project, or to learn more about upcoming opportunities to participate, visit the Town of Yarmouth website at yarmouth.me.us or visit our social media channels. We'll see you next time.
Bye.